Hi everyone. So today let's just talk about the adjustments to grade boundaries and marking in response to everything that's happened throughout the last few months throughout this pandemic. So I saw an article on Schools Week, which you may have realised is my main plug alongside the Ofqual blog for information. And in this article on Schools Week, the chief regulator of Ofqual basically said that Ofqual wanted to make sure that students were compensated for the impact of the pandemic on their learning. So she, the chief regulator, Dame Glenys Stacey, she also said that it was important that this impact was recognised and that they needed to think carefully about the performance standard that should be aimed for in all these qualifications in 2021. So basically she's saying that to try and compensate and make up for everything that's going on, they're going to try and be more generous, not just for the autumn series or the results that we got the other day, but it might continue into 2021 and even beyond. So this is good, of course, initially, but it potentially comes with some problems as well. So let's talk about some of the positives and negatives, and well, this will be from my viewpoint anyway, so this is just my opinion on the matter. So when we look at the positives, we have the fact that students taking exams this school year and maybe for the next school year and maybe even the year after, they cannot be expected to be as prepared either mentally or academically as students from 2019 and before. It's just not the same situation. Everything's completely different. And to think that they were the same would be very, very naive, in my opinion. Some students, of course, will be. Some might even be better off because they work better in isolation, independently. But for many, many students, the majority, in my opinion, they will be at a slight disadvantage. So it will make up for that shortfall in GCSE, AS and A-Level students and all the other students doing exams as well. Also, as I've said before, another positive is that we might see a permanent change within the education system. We don't know what it will be. Hopefully it will be within assessment. And, I think that it might be a bit long overdue, especially with the fact that things are moving so fast that students now do not learn the same as students did 20 years ago or even 10 years ago when I was taking my exams. So thinking about that, if you want to hear some of my ideas of what could be a better system, be sure to check out the video in the card up above in the corner. It was a video which I think was titled, Should 2021 Exams Be Cancelled? Or Rarely Be Cancelled, because it was a response to another video that I'd done. And in there I lay out some of the things that could be done to change and maybe improve assessment and your final exam grades. So let's flip this. Let's look at some of the negatives and also see some of the counterpoints to those negatives. So for starters, more people getting their grades means more people applying to higher level universities, colleges, apprenticeships and so on. So more competition up there, even more competition up there. And also the chance that, of course, with that you'll get students who shouldn't be there, who don't actually have the ability to do those courses, which is a valid argument to make. But my answer to this is also at the same time, so what if you get more students applying or able to apply than in the past? Because think about this. How many amazing teachers, nurses, doctors, lawyers, or any other profession, how many do you think we have missed out on? How many amazing ones do you think we've missed out on simply because one grade that may not have been even related in any way to the course that they were taking, the career that they were going to go onto, one grade was too low? How many possible amazing lawyers didn't get into their university of choice or didn't even get onto a law course because they had a D in art? Or doctors that had a C in history didn't get onto a medicine course? When you think about it, there's a lot of jobs in this country and in the world that need to be filled but are not being filled. Either because there's not enough people that are qualified to do it or because there's just not that much money in it. So the people who are qualified to do it would rather do something else that makes them much, much more money. So by having a larger pool of people applying for those qualifications or who are qualified because they got a slight boost when they were in GCSE or A-level, then we're in a situation where these people have a slight edge on paper, but they were always the real deal in real life. They could always do the task, but on paper in the past, they probably wouldn't have necessarily got it. But this time they're going to get it because their grades have been slightly adjusted upwards. Nobody loses out because these people are still fully qualified to do the job. They still can do the job is still getting done, and we're filling gaps. So, there's a lot to gain from that. And it does mean that there's a possibility that there could be more people at the disposal of the world. Another possible negative is also that there's a chance that being generous with the grading could have a cheapening effect on the qualifications as a whole. So we could have a situation where universities or other institutions look at a grade A star or 9 student from this year, or from the school year, so 2021, and they say, well, this isn't worth the same amount as a student with a grade 9 or an A star grade from 2019. And also, when you think about it, other parts of the world also really respect UK qualifications, and they convert quite nicely. And all you have to do is take maybe a small competency test, and you can go and work in the US or Canada or South America or Africa or Asia. And, you know, would this generosity weaken the power of our qualifications in that sense? Would it then be that in future years, students' grades might not be, or people who have now qualified, when they go on to try and get jobs in other countries, they might be looked at with a sort of side eye, where people are just like, are the GCSEs what they used to be? Well, it's a possibility, but personally, I very, very highly doubt it, for several reasons. The first being that the whole world at the moment is being impacted, so everybody's education system is taking a bit of a beating right now. So there will be a level of sympathy where employers, other countries, and your colleagues and peers alike around the world will sort of be like, yeah, we all knew what happened, we all know what happened. And there's also the simple fact that I don't believe that recruiters and people who employ other people pay close attention to the year in which you got your grade. I don't think people look at qualifications and they're just like, that person got their qualification in 2020. What happened in 2020 again? I don't think people have time for that, to be honest. I think they see the grade, they see the qualification, and then they just move on. If it's there, it's there, and if it's got, it's got. Whether there'll be a shift in how people think after this year, and they start paying attention to that, well, we'll have to wait and see. But I very highly doubt that it will be as much of an issue as some people are making it out to be. And also, to be honest, the amount of people affected in this way is very, very large. Everyone from 4 years old to about 25 is technically a COVID student. They're a student during this time, and their academic and psychological makeup has been largely affected by what's going on. And they may be dealing with the fallout from that. We might be dealing with this as a national and international community, might be dealing with this for the next 5, maybe even more years, dealing with young people who have gone through a much harder school period than most people would have who are alive today. So I don't know, what do you think? Do you find that the generosity and the compensation that Ofqual are talking about, do you think that is something to be concerned about? Do you think that it might be problematic, or are you all for it and in support of it, even though you might not even necessarily need it? Or maybe you do really need it and you're thankful that it's on its way. Let me know down in the comments below. In my opinion, as I've said, generosity isn't such a big deal, and it will help level the playing field more than it will cause problems moving forward. It will do more good probably than bad. And in my opinion, the real issue comes down to how exactly they're going to go around doing this. How will they compensate students for what they've lost? How will they differentiate and make sure that the right people to the right degree are compensated and are grade boosted, essentially? I think that's the thing, that's the big deal that needs to be looked at. And to be honest, I'm happy that I'm not in that position, because I think that it's going to be a very, very hard thing to sort out and do. Either way, the main thing is, even though you have this knowledge, guys, just to not let up in your hard work, just to keep working. Keep putting your best foot forward every single day. Keep making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing every single lesson, every single revision period, every single chance that you get to learn and do your work when you're supposed to be. Just make sure you're doing it, because there's nothing better than walking into an exam and walking out of an exam without a shadow of a doubt that you did the best that you could. You did everything within your power to achieve the grades that you wanted. There's honestly no better feeling to have. Don't think about the external stuff, just think about you and what you've done and what you can do. And if you're in that, and if you put yourself in that position, then no matter what happens, you'll be fine. So that's all for today. And you know what to do if you haven't already. Make sure to subscribe, click that bell for notifications, and give us a like as well. Now, there's some videos on screen, so be sure to click those if you haven't seen those already. And I'm going to do some artwork now. So be sure to stay safe. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.